Hello, and welcome to Heineken's Tech Insights, your podcast from Heineken Kraków. Throughout this podcast, we'll be sharing insights and learnings from some of Heineken's top specialists who are shaping the digital future of Heineken. Join us to meet our experts, gain valuable knowledge, and see how what happens in Kraków goes around the world. I'm Mateusz Komander, your host, and today we'll be exploring how a global organization like Heineken equips its teams to work smarter and faster in agile world. If you are ever wondered how different frameworks can actually help large complex teams deliver value without losing speed or clarity, this episode is for you. We'll uncover what it takes to build shared practices, overcome friction, and create a culture where agility and governance go hand in hand. Our guest today is Bartosz Pietraszak, Commerce Service Delivery Manager and SME ATO Leader, based in Kraków, who is also a certified trainer for ITIL and DevOps. Hello, Bartosz.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So did I mention correctly? You're based in Kraków? Probably not necessarily.
No, actually, I am based in Bydgoszcz, but yeah, the head office is in Kraków, so partially correct.
Partially correct. So probably quite an often visitor to the office, I suppose.
Yeah, actually, once we've started doing the trainings, I'm here like every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you are a visitor because you are...
Because I conduct the trainings for ITIL and DevOps Foundation.
Nice one. Okay, so maybe wrapping up a little bit before we jump into our topic or into our main conversation. So when or if you think about the way the teams work today compared to a few years ago, what is the biggest shift or the biggest change you've noticed or you can see?
I think that the biggest shift is, so years ago we could observe people being obsessed with tools, with the tooling part, and something shifted in the minds of the directors, let's put it that way, or everywhere, fortunately, and people started thinking about people. That's the biggest shift, because tooling is important, because without the tools we will not be able to work, but the most important or much more important thing is who is responsible for the tools? People.
Okay.
And tools are just tools and will not work without people. And that's the biggest shift, which I'm glad it happened.
Okay, so by the tools you mean some, let's say, project management tools in essence, or some tools you were rather referring to specific frameworks or methods?
Both. So in general, it's not only about the frameworks, but also about the tooling itself, like the typical tools we use for our work in our daily life. It's not sufficient. We need to remember that someone needs to take care of the tools, and the tools are for people and not in the opposite way.
Definitely. So the biggest change, if I understood you correctly, is rather to start focusing on the mindset and how we are actually working.
Yeah, exactly. That's the shift. We started thinking about things such as collaboration and being together, working together, and working for the same or shared goals, and not just working and doing my job without thinking, okay, what's the next part behind my job?
Okay, we started already digesting a little bit the core topic of today, but maybe before we continue, I would like to learn a little bit more about you. So you are at the moment at Heineken for how long? How long you are with us?
I joined last year in June.
You've joined last year in June.
So a year and a half almost.
Oh, wow. Not on one hand, quite a long period of time with the dynamics at Heineken, but on the second part, if you are looking from outside...
Quite a newbie still, yeah.
Quite a newbie.
Yeah.
Okay, but before you joined Heineken, and as I mentioned initially, you're already a trainer. Could you maybe walk us through a little bit with your training path, how you became one?
That's a good one. Well, I always liked... I don't want to say training people because it sounds a little bit strange, but I always liked teaching people. And that was actually my initial plan for my life, because when I finished my first studies, The plan for me was to stay at the university to do the PhD, and then to be there and train and teach and coach people. So that part was always in me. And when I joined the corporate world, let's put it that way, it was many years ago, let's say 15 or even long. I think it's longer now. Then I first encountered such thing as ITIL 4. And I was obsessed with that. I fell in love with ITIL 4. At that time, it was ITIL V3, so the previous version of ITIL. And then I started thinking, okay, maybe I should use my capabilities and my desires to train and to coach people in that form. Maybe I should first train, let be trained by someone else, and first train myself, and then become an accredited training. And that's how it started. Then I did the whole path for ITIL V3, which is quite a long one. A few years ago, I transitioned to ITIL 4 because in 2019, a new version of ITIL was introduced. And that's how it started. And I actually started being a trainer in another company. But when I joined here, one of the first questions I asked, not only myself, but also my manager, or most importantly, my manager, was, why don't we have that within Heineken? Because it's important and it brings value.
You mean, why don't we have that? You mean ITIL 4 or training or internal trainings, for example?
Actually, both. Actually, first it started, why don't we have internal trainers? But then a bigger picture was built in my mind. Okay, why don't we start building an accredited training organization? Meaning we could then do such trainings within Heineken, so internally, and not using some external companies for that.
Very interesting topic. So you've already touched my next question, maybe, or a follow-up question that I actually wanted to ask. What is actually accredited training organization? What does it mean?
So that you are able, or actually you are allowed to conduct such training internally, you must first become an so-called accredited training organization. So we needed to sign an agreement with PeopleCert, which is the mother organization of ITIL 4, but also other frameworks. So first we needed to have that agreement, and you can have it, as I said, within the accredited training organization. So first Heineken needed to become that. Then, of course, you are allowed and eligible to conduct such trainings internally.
Okay, so we can now train our own employees.
Yeah.
Without what are the other benefits? Are there benefits with that? Like, can we now train for free? Can we now certify for free? What is the?
Well, nothing is for free in the world. So of course we still need to pay for it. But one of the benefits is we are not only giving the knowledge and the experience about ITIL 4, but we also add the flavor of Heineken, because when I conduct such a training, I always present, okay, what ITIL says, and then, okay, how it's done at Heineken, what are the differences, what are the gaps, and where could we start improving.
Okay, so like rather already embedding the framework itself or the method itself within our organization, so that people could reference better and be better embedded and learn actually already on practical examples they may have.
Yes, exactly. It gives you the theoretical foundation, and based on that, people may start acting and may start introducing their improvements, of course, in accordance to ITIL 4. Or sometimes, it's not doable to do it 100% ITIL. That's why ITIL says adopt and adapt in the way you can in your organization. And that's why ITIL 4 is also universal.
Universal to any organization, no matter if the organization is already sort of agile, or maybe on the path to agility, or even if the organization is still adapting or working with the classical approach.
Yes, exactly. It's very universal and can be applied not only in like waterfall organizations or approaches, Because I think it's a very wrong picture people build in their minds. Okay, ITIL 4 or ITIL overall means no agility. No, it's wrong. It's completely wrong. Especially in ITIL 4, you can see those parts where, okay, it's agile, we can adjust it and we can use it even if we are an agile organization, and Heineken is such.
Yeah, I think quite often sometimes we may meet those misconceptions. Yeah, that people are saying we are doing Scrum, so we are agile, or agile means always Scrum. That's not true. Agility means ability to adopt, not really following specific framework.
Adjust to changes which are coming instantly and constantly.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe doing a few steps back. So because we've started digging into the ITL, I think for that, let's leave that for a little bit later. But for the Accredited Training Organization, so like you mentioned, for us, in your perception, it would be very beneficial to become one. So I'm assuming we are already one, as you are ATO Leader within your title, and I assume also, or as I know, as we spoke before the podcast, you mentioned that you actually introduced that or asked about that beforehand, as soon as you joined. So within that 1.5 period of time, how does it happen that you were able to push Heineken to become Accredited Training Organization? How does it happen? Could you walk us through a little bit?
Well, I was very fortunate that my manager had a similar mindset as me. And he's actually also ITIL certified. So we speak the same language, or a very similar language. So I was very fortunate because I could show him, okay, these are the benefits, the potential benefits, that would be the cost, that would be the negatives of that, and who should I spoke with so that we can start working on it. And then, of course, he contacted me with our L&D department, or more specifically with Maria Michalik, which is my partner in crime. I love Maria. Yeah, we wouldn't accomplish that without L&D and without Maria. She's very helpful and also very open-minded. So we were contacted with each other, and then we started collaborating and working on that. It was a huge amount of work for us. Many misconceptions, many discussions, sometimes also disappointments. But yeah, we finally managed to sign the agreement and build the ATO, and not only build because we are expanding it as well. Okay. Because we have already approved plans and the budget for the next year, and it looks promising.
Okay, nice to hear. So how long did it take? So since you started till achieving the ATO?
I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think I started working on it in September last year, and we signed the agreement in June this year. So 9 months, I think.
Now, so we are the Accredited Training Organization. We are delivering the trainings, and as you mentioned, there are plans and budgets and some sort of plans for expanding. So for now, at the moment, what we are delivering internally as the ATO, which kind of trainings we are delivering to ourselves actually?
We have 2 or 3 actually. ITIL 4 Foundation, DevOps Foundation, which I conduct. These are the 2 trainings which I deliver. And additionally, we have Prince 2 Agile Foundation. We had only 1 session, I think 2 months ago, which was delivered by an external trainer, but only for us. So it was a very close group. And the goal from that training is to promote people so that they become accredited trainers for Prince 2 Agile. And then we will be able to do them internally.
Okay. And now maybe looking for a very broad perspective, like now that you are leading this ATO, you see we are moving forward. What would be your vision, let's say, moving strategic lines in 5 years? Where would you like to put us?
Oh, that's a bold question. Now, of course, the let's say the big goal, or the initial goal and the main goal, is to expand. And that's what we will be doing also in the next year, because next year we are introducing 2 additional ITIL modules, which are monitor, support, and fulfill. and create, deliver, and support. In ITIL 4, you have 3 main paths. This is the first path called Practice Manager, which means that those 2 modules are really focused on the practical usage of the knowledge and experiences taken out from ITIL 4, and are focusing on things such as customer experience, collaboration, and stuff like that. And this is what I think we need the most at that moment at Heineken. So that's the plan for the next year. Of course, we still be delivering ITIL 4 Foundation, DevOps Foundation, plus Prince 2 Agile Foundation. But as I said, the main goal is to expand. So in the next years, I would like to have the whole ITIL 4 certification path introduced internally, plus maybe such frameworks as Scrum, so Scrum Master or Product Owner or something like that, because we need that at Heineken as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the value behind that also with the evidence-based management approach, that may also be something very valuable. So looking into this extension and looking into how you started delivering, you mentioned only foundation at the moment for DevOps and the only foundation for ITIL.
Yeah.
But at the beginning you've started probably small, but where it ended. So we are in December. I know that tomorrow you are starting your next training. You will conduct your next training, but how does it look like in terms of the waiting list for us? Yeah, you started small, but there is probably something waiting for you next year already.
Oh yeah, and that's a nice question. Yeah, actually we started small, and for the first group we needed to ask people, do you want to join? But once the first group was finished, then people started, asking the managers, can I join the next sessions and stuff like that. And now we ended up with the situation that our waiting list are, I think it's over 100 of people for ITIL 4 and for DevOps Foundation as well. So the interest and the demand, it's high. It's really high.
In that regard, if you are looking on the now on the delivery, you think that ITIL is rather, like, from the perspective of Heineken, you think that the implementation of ITIL would be better to maybe catch different people individually from different functions, different portfolios, etc., or do you rather intend to focus to train everyone at portfolio at once, because this, for example, will be better value for that portfolio? Where do you see possible best approach from your perspective?
Everyone is welcome in the trainings, but the biggest value, of course, are first those people who work with processes and practices, such as, let's say, incident management or problem management. So they should go to the first row. Let's put it that way. But of course, it brings value for everyone, and that's what I can see also in our trainings, because we have people from different parts of the organization. It's not only service management, it's also data management, it's supply chain, and any other department you can wish for. And they all see value in those trainings, and they even during the training they start thinking, okay, what can I improve? What do I do wrong, and what can I improve so that my life and the life of our colleagues is much easier.
Okay, so just to clarify for myself, because you caught me a little bit here, maybe not surprised, but curious a little bit, because you mentioned you are having trainings for supply chains and other functions. Does it mean not necessarily D&T per se? So what is the value, what is the difference of value that IT person can receive from ITIL 4 and the person who is not necessarily directly connected with IT or not necessarily within the IT pipeline?
Well, you should ask the question to those persons, but no, but honestly, the IT people, they are really focused on the IT world, and because after each session, I always ask the question: okay, what was the biggest surprise or the wow effect in your mind after the training? And the majority of answers for IT persons are like, oh, actually, I had no idea that, for example, you can be at the same time the service provider and the service consumer. And then they start thinking about, okay, I'm actually responsible not only for my work, but also for the collaboration within and outside of the teams, which I was collaborating, let's say, in the last year with. So that's the IT world. They see those, how should I say, those like very intangible things. Because normally the IT world is really focused on IT stuff and IT assets and computers, servers, disks, and stuff like that. So they start thinking about things such as collaboration and customer experience, user experience. And I always ask the question, what's the difference between customer's experience and user experience? And the IT people, they normally are like, is there actually any? Of course there is.
Yeah, for them it's usually the same.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you take the people, for example, from the supply chain, it's a little bit different. Their perspective is different. That's why I always like when we have different people from different functions and different roles in one session, because you can see many perspectives and how they operate, how they collaborate. Sometimes they don't, and they see the need to start collaborating. But yeah, that's it. You have different perspectives. It's not only about tangible stuff like server management, so overall IT asset management or service configuration management, but it's also about relationship management. It's also about supplier management and any other practice you could imagine. And everything should be put in place and should work together, because if it doesn't, then yeah, good luck.
You mentioned a few times very interesting part that people need to start collaborating with others, and I think this is a very nice entry point into things that sometimes happens for people in IT, that we sometimes are so focused on our part of product, but we are not looking for the end-to-end value behind that product that we are actually working on. So do you think then, or how do you think the ITIL then can, maybe you already explained that a little bit, but do you believe that this somehow brings us closer to destroying, maybe not destroying, but moving out from the silo approach?
Well, yeah, I think ITIL 4, and not only ITIL 4, because as I mentioned, I also conduct DevOps trainings. They both have a surprisingly big cultural impact, let's put it that way, because first they create a shared language, and that's also what we've mentioned. So before the initiative, before the trainings, you could put 7 people in a room and get 7 definitions of what an incident is, 4 interpretations of a service, and of course there would be at least one person who would say agile means no documentation. And I think you can agree with that as well, because that's, in my opinion, not only in my opinion, it's quite a huge struggle, but not only at HEINEKEN, but in other organizations as well. And after the training, or even during the training, people finally think and talk about the same concepts in the same way. So they start using the same language, and they start understanding things in the same or in a very similar way. Then secondly, it generally started breaking down silos. So that was the question. So when the teams go through training together, you have their product teams, you have them DevOps, the dev teams, ops teams, support teams, and as I mentioned, also other teams and other functions such as, I don't know, supply chain. So they suddenly realize that others are not the blockers. They are the same part of the organization or a similar part of the organization, and we all should collaborate because we are part of the same value stream. And you collaborate earlier, you escalate less, or you even start to escalate, because and I don't know why, but people are afraid of escalation. So immediately, if they see any issues they cannot solve themselves, they start escalating, and that's also it's also a part of the right approach. And you solve more at the team level, and it doesn't necessarily need to go to your manager or to the, I don't know, sometimes even to the senior director. So the work and the activities, they stay at the level they should be. At. And third, it normalizes continual improvement. I always say that continual improvement is the second name of ITIL 4. And everybody should have continual improvement in their DNA. And it's not about thinking big. I'm also a huge fan of quick wins. So if you see any potential improvements, any improvement ideas, even during your daily life, just do it, because it brings value. And I always say, if something doesn't bring value, it should be eliminated. That's a lean approach.
Exactly. Like the continuous improvement and the lean approach, I think this is across whole the agile landscape embedded in there. And but also the second topic that you mentioned, not necessarily think of big changes, but think small. I think this is something that many teams sometimes struggle when we meet with them, where specifically if you ask them, okay, so you see the problem, now think of what you can do yourself to actually mitigate this problem at least a little bit. You don't necessarily need to solve this, just mitigate it a bit.
Exactly. At least acknowledge it. That would be the first step. Acknowledge it. It's not about, oh, it doesn't exist. No, it does exist, and if you don't do anything about it, then it will escalate and it will multiply itself.
Yeah. Okay, Bartosz, thank you for joining me today. It was great seeing you. We are not yet wrapping up, but one more time, thank you.
Thank you very much too.
Okay, so today we had our guest was Bartosz, and we had a discussion about Accredited Training Organization, and we focused a little bit about the theory of ITIL. Nevertheless, join us next time to learn a little bit more about practical examples, about the challenges, and how to move forward with the implementation learning you have. To stay connected, be sure to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and follow Heineken Global Shared Services on LinkedIn. And remember, here at Heineken, we are always looking for rising stars who are ready to make an impact. If you are interested in joining us, you can explore our open positions at heinekenkrakow.pl. We'll be back with more insights from Heineken's agile and digital transformation journey, showing how what happens in Krakow goes around the world. Join us next time to keep learning, growing, and adapting.